Muhammadu Buhari buried in his hometown of Daura, Katsina State, after a state funeral. Thousands trooped to late President Buhari's home to pay last respect as tributes pour in. Armed assailants strike again, killing at least 27 farmers and touching houses in Jos. And on the foreign scene, security personnel in Togo vote early as country prepares for upcoming municipal and regional elections. Hello, good evening and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa. Now the news. Former President Muhammadu Buhari was entered on Tuesday at his hometown in Daura. President Bola Tinubu received the remains of former Nigerian president, which arrived from London at the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua International Airport in Katsina. Here's the report.
The deceased president's body was accompanied on the flight home by Vice President Kashim Shettima and a delegation of senior federal government officials. It arrived Katsina International Airport at about 2:07 p.m. President Tinubu arrived at the airport at about 2:30 p.m. He joined a large crowd made up of dignitaries and Katsina residents to receive Buhari's remains. Tinubu was joined by the Chadian President, Mohamed Debi, and his counterpart from Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Siseko, as well as the Prime Minister of the Niger Republic, Ali Mohamed. Part of the dignitaries included Buhari's former Vice President Yemi Oshibajo, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Governor of Katsina State, and his colleagues from the states. Members of the Federal Executive Council are also in attendance to receive the remains of the former president. After the president received the remains of Buhari, it was welcomed with a full military salute at the airport. From the airport, a solemn convoy conveyed the body from Katsina International Airport to his residence in Daura. Upon arrival in Daura, funeral prayers were observed at the helipad area of the former president's residence, led by the chief imam of Daura, Sheikh Salisu Rabiu. Buhari's final gun salute was fired between 5:32 p.m. and 5:35 p.m. A citation of the former president was read by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, just before his body was laid to Mother Earth. The deceased president was finally interred some minutes after 5:50 p.m. at his residence in Daura. Daura played host to a huge crowd of dignitaries for this burial, made up of the president's allies and even his political opponents during his lifetime. The huge crowd that turned out for his burial demonstrates that even in death, Muhammadu Buhari was an enigma that could not be ignored. As the funeral rites come to an end, it seals the reality of the end of an era. Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
He came into power on the promises of change. A former military ruler turned elected president. Now with his passing, Muhammadu Buhari's legacy is under the microscope, loved by some, criticized by many, and remembered by all. The question lingers, what did he really leave behind? In this explainer, we break down Buhari's legacy in numbers, from the economy to security, infrastructure to inflation, to see beyond the politics and into the data that define his 8 years in power. Take a look.
He is gone, and now the verdict begins. The death of former President Muhammadu Buhari has reignited national debate over his legacy. To some, he was a disciplined leader who stood for integrity. To others, he presided over one of Nigeria's most difficult economic eras. So, what do the numbers actually say? This is Buhari's legacy in numbers. Let's start with the economy. When Buhari took office in 2015, he promised to rebuild the Nigerian economy and fight corruption. But Nigeria's economy grew at an average of just 1.4% under his watch, the weakest since 1999. Compare that to Obasanjo's nearly 7% growth and Jonathan's over 6% growth. Twice, Nigeria entered recession, first in 2016 and then in 2020. Inflation under Buhari ballooned from 9% in 2015 to over 21% in 2022. Food prices, well, they went through the roof. The naira collapsed. It went from 197 naira to the dollar to 460 naira to the dollar officially, and it's even worse on the black market. Unemployment soared from 10.4% to 33.4%. By the time he left office, over 130 million Nigerians were living in multi-dimensional poverty. That's 63% of the population. Public debt exploded under the Buhari administration. It went from 12 trillion naira in 2015 to 77 trillion naira in 2023. And debt servicing gulped over 90% of national revenue. On the security front, despite heavy spending on defense, insecurity still persisted. Boko Haram, bandits, kidnappers remained active. More than 35,000 people were killed and millions displaced under the Buhari administration. Yes, Buhari recovered stolen funds, over $300 million in Abacha loot. He enforced the Treasury single account, saving trillions of naira, and over 600 plus convictions were secured by the EFCC. But critics argue that selective justice and opaque subsidy payments stained the anti-corruption war. Now, despite promises, power generation dipped. It went from 4,900 megawatts to just over 2,400 megawatts by 2023. The grid collapsed almost 100 times in the space of 8 years. And foreign investors, well, they pulled back. In the first quarter of 2021, Nigeria attracted just $78 million in foreign direct investment. This was the lowest in more than a decade. So, what will history say about Muhammadu Buhari? A man of discipline and modesty, no doubt. But the numbers tell a story of economic struggle, rising debt, shrinking jobs, and deepening poverty. In the end, Buhari's legacy remains a mirror, reflecting both the hopes he carried and the realities he left behind. This was Buhari's legacy in numbers.
Still on Buhari, as the nation reflects on the legacy of former President Muhammadu Buhari, we revisited some of the most defining, memorable, and yes, controversial words he uttered over his 8 years in power, from promises of change to statements that sparked outrage. Here's a journey through the Buhari presidency in his own words.
I would like to thank the millions of supporters who believed in us even when the cause seemed hopeless.
The moment Nigeria witnessed a historic democratic transition, a new president took the stage with a line that constantly defined his brand.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
A declaration of neutrality and purpose, one that raised hopes for a united, corruption-free Nigeria. Soon after, he fired his first shot at the country's greatest enemy.
But already your governor or your chairman South has said it. If we don't kill corruption in this country, corruption will kill Nigeria.
But then came a stumble, a personal remark that set the internet ablaze. A retort to Aisha Buhari's criticism, seen globally as sexist and at home as a red flag.
I don't know which party my wife belongs to, but she belongs to my kitchen and my living room and the other room. It's not easy to do away with your opposition or people who have not followed you along your campaign trail.
Buhari made international headlines again, this time offending a generation.
We have a very young population. Our population is estimated conservatively to be 180 million. This is a conservative one. more than 60% of the population is below the age of 30. A lot of them haven't been to school, and they are claiming, that Nigeria has been an oil-producing country, therefore they should sit and do nothing and get housing, healthcare, education free.
Perhaps the most controversial year of his presidency and the most chilling line. A veiled threat to separatist agitators, drawing from his Civil War experience. The comment led to the deletion of his tweet and a month-long Twitter ban in Nigeria.
What is happening in the southeast, attacking police station, killing the police, taking away arms and ammunition. Now, for those of us who are unfortunate to be in the field for the 30 months of the Civil War, to see the carnage of how we kill ourselves, at least 1 million people, I think those that are misbehaving, they were either too young, they didn't know what happened. But for those of us who went through all these things, we can't understand. So we will treat them in the language they understand.
He came, he ruled, and he spoke, sometimes too bluntly, sometimes with conviction, often with consequence. In the end, Buhari believed history would be kind. Now, that history is being written by the people, by the critics, and by the generations who lived through his worth and his rule.
In a solemn display of solidarity, residents of Gombe have observed a funeral prayer in absentia for the late Muhammad Buhari, who passed on last Sunday. The special gathering brought together clerics, community members, and youths who not only offered prayers for the deceased, but also proposed the establishment of a charity foundation in his memory. Hassan Koli has more.
A solemn atmosphere enveloped parts of Gombe metropolis as residents gathered to observe Janaza Gaif, a funeral prayer in absentia for the late Muhammadu Buhari. Was dead, though distant in place, struck a deep chord among many who admired his values and legacy. We ask Allah to forgive Muhammadu Buhari, to overlook his shortcomings and grant him Jannatul Firdaus. His contributions to society, especially among the youth, will never be forgotten. Following the prayer, emotional tributes poured in, with many describing the deceased as a beacon of humility, generosity, and leadership, especially among the younger generation.
We are here to mourn and to pray for the departed soul of our dear former president, General Buhari, who happens to be a lover of Gombe. And Alhamdulillah, we have shown to the world, to the Islamic Ummah, that we love Muhammadu Buhari. We, the people of Gombe, we are here on behalf of everybody, the loving people of Gombe, to pray for a departed soul of our dear former president.
All his entire life, he was a kind of making effort to see that people, more especially the masses, have a kind of a life that will sustain them. He have done a lot, right from the military era to the PTF regime, and when he was a president. So at least he have done a lot, even though he have some 1 or 2 issues that we are all humans, we must have 1 or 2 issues that at least people will not be happy with them.
He inspired us with his character and compassion. Even though he is no longer with us, his legacy must live on. Moved by his impact on the lives of many, participants unanimously called for the establishment of a charity foundation in his name, one that will support orphans, the poor, and students, reflecting the very values the late Muhammadu Buhari stood for. Let us honor him not just with words, but with actions. A foundation bearing his name can continue the good he started. So we urge his family and supporters to move forward for this plan as Sadaqatul Jariyah. Though ex-President Muhammadu Buhari may be gone, the outpouring of prayers, tributes, and the growing call for a charity foundation in his name are proof that his spirit lives on in the hearts of many. Hassan Koli, Trust TV News, Gombe.
The Jigawa State government on Monday held a special prayer session in honor of the late former President Muhammadu Buhari at the Council Chamber, Government House, Dutse. The session was part of the State Executive Council meeting where members took time to pay homage to the departed ex-president. The report.
Governor Umar Namadi led the solemn gathering, which brought together members of the State Executive Council, respected Islamic clerics, senior government officials and dignitaries from across the state. The prayers were offered for the forgiveness of Buhari's sins and eternal rest for his soul. The prayers addressing the gathering, Governor Namadi described the late president as a man of unshakable integrity, whose leadership and commitment to national progress left an indelible remark on Nigerians' history. He emphasized that Buhari's life and service will remain a beacon of inspiration for the present and future generations. The event was steeped in reverence, with participants uniting in grief and remembrance of a leader who, despite his passing, continues to command respect and admiration from all corners of the country. In expressing solidarity with the bereaved family and the nation, the Jigawa state government reaffirmed its respect for Buhari's enduring legacy of discipline, patriotism, and unwavering dedication to the Nigerian cause.
As people within and outside Nigeria continue to mourn the death of the late former Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, they are describing his death as a huge loss to the nation. In Kaduna, where the late president resided, sympathizers and political associates have described late Muhammadu Buhari as a rare leader that the country has ever produced. One of the deceased political allies is Muhammad Ali, who has been associated with the president for the last 41 years. The report.
And give us all the fortitude to bear the huge loss. We have actually lost a leader.
Muhammad Ali is one of the people who worked under the military regime of President Muhammadu Buhari. Since then, he became a close ally of the late former president.
A man of integrity, of courage, and unbearing patriotism. This is a man who lived his life for Nigeria. Everything he wants is for the masses of this country to be free from the shackles of domination, from the shackles of poverty and want. This is what he lived and died for. Because I was privileged to be with Buhari for 41 eventful years. Right from his days as the military head of state. That time I was a junior officer in the then National Security Organization, the present DSS. All through we've been there up to the time he retired after the coup of August 1985.
Ali described Buhari as a selfless leader who diligently served the nation.
And together we were all that matters was to try to do the best that we can for him to emerge as president. And after at about November 2002, before the primary elections, the security guards attached to him, including the military, the soldiers, were withdrawn. So himself and his very bosom friend, AIG Lawal Bawa, retired, called me that, what do we do? I said, with their permission, I can assemble a team that we can train for a few weeks for them to serve as security during all our campaigns. They gave me the permission, and I picked 20 footballers. We screened them. After 3 weeks of screening and training at Murtala Square, we eventually settled for 15 out of them. And these were the people we worked with from 2002 through to 2015, when he finally won the elections in his 4th attempt.
Despite some challenges, the late former president was able to work for Nigeria and Nigerians.
To my mind, it's not a failure. He has been running the government side by side, very serious health challenges, but it is not everybody that knows that. But to my mind, I think he has done the best he can. At least he has been able in the first few years of his coming to limit to a very large extent, or to reduce drastically the scourge of Boko Haram, insurgency in the northeast. He has been able to tackle that.
He also recounting his last moments with the late President Muhammadu Buhari few days before leaving to the London hospital, where he eventually passed on.
My last moment was, I think, on the 6th of April 2027, before his because he departed for Britain, I think, on the 12th. So yes. So because Mamandara left on the 6th, then he left on 12th. We discussed with him, including my senior wife. We had a very, very lengthy and fruitful discussions with him, and he told me that I should just take it easy. We're going to talk more when he comes back, and there are a few things we're going to put in place to ensure that APC waxes stronger, particularly at the national level and Kaduna State in particular. I said okay, and we bid him farewell and safe journey, not knowing that will be my last discussions with him.
Late President Muhammadu Buhari, who died on Sunday, 13 July 2025, was buried in his country home, Daura in Katsina State. Bello Musa, Trust TV News Kaduna.
Following the news of former President Muhammadu Buhari's passing, Delta State residents have shared mixed views regarding the legacy of the departed leader. Some praised his integrity and stance against corruption, while others highlighted controversies and challenges during his administration. Jonathan Awanyai, who spoke with a cross-section of residents in Asaba, Delta State capital, now reports.
These differing views are a reflection of the legacies, complexities of leadership, and the polarized political landscape ex-President Buhari helped shape. Some respondents paid heartfelt tributes to the former president, whom they described as a symbol of integrity and national pride. They acknowledged his strong stance against corruption and deliberate efforts to promote national ethics.
I want to say is that they have been saying that Buhari is dead, but now they have confirmed it that he's dead. So for those ones that think power is in their hand, it's only God that holds life. So let others use it and learn lesson.
Buhari epitomizes the good, the bad, and the ugly. He is somebody that you can say is patriotic and has that discipline. But many people took advantage of him to rob Nigeria. That is my own feeling.
Others expressed mixed views recognizing both the positive and negative aspects of his administrations, stressing that both his military regime and civilian administration were marked by controversies, including human rights abuses and economic challenges.
The present news making the rounds about the death of our former president, Buhari. You know, there is something I believe in life. Everybody may not like you, but the truth is that that man made his mark as well. He also imparted life. Sometimes as a leader, the burden you carry is to be misunderstood. People misunderstand you. Sometimes as a leader, you also carried the burden of being, looking confused.
Don't kill us now, but we still try. It's not easy to rule Nigeria. You don't finish us. Okay. But it's not easy to rule Nigeria.
Great President Buhari, sorry for your burial. You try for your own tenure, you do your own. You know that it's not everybody that will benefit. Some people will benefit, some will not benefit. Surely it's not all of us that will benefit from you.
The respondents also reflected on the late leader's legacies and advocated the importance of accountability, justice, and remembrance after public service. The former president, who was in office from 2015 to 2023, was aged 82. Jonathan Anwanyai, Trust TV News, Asaba.
At least 27 farmers were in the early hours of Monday killed and several houses burned following a deadly attack on Bindin Jebo in Tahoe's community of Riam local government area of Plateau State. The assailants, suspected to be armed herdsmen, stormed the area around 5:30 a.m., shooting sporadically and setting residential buildings ablaze. Multiple residents were also injured and have been evacuated to the Jos University Teaching Hospital, Youth Plateau Hospital, and other nearby health centers for treatment. The national president of the Birom Youth Molder Association, Dalio Solomon, confirmed the attack, stating that the victims' bodies have been deposited in various hospitals pending burial arrangements. Meanwhile, the Plateau State chairman of the Mieti Allah Cattle Breeder Association of Nigeria, Magban Ibrahim Babayo, denied any involvement by its members and called on security agencies to investigate the incident thoroughly, describing the accusation as baseless. Security agencies, including Operations Safe Haven and the State Police Command, have yet to issue any official statement as of press time. Now, moving on to Nasarawa, the state police in Nasarawa State have launched a manhunt for the abductors of the State Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Information, Yusuf Musa. The spokesperson for the command, Ramhan Nansel, said a patrol team from B Division in Lafia found Musa's Peugeot pickup van abandoned with its doors open around 3:05 a.m. on Tuesday, adding that officers also discovered the gate to his residence left ajar. A search of the premises confirmed Musa was missing, along with a GMC vehicle with registration number KUJ88PA. According to Nansel, the State Commissioner of Police, Shetima Mohammed, has ordered a coordinated tactical response and activated surveillance across major routes in the state, while division in Akwanga, Andaha, Garago, and Kadarko have also been alerted. The police urged the public to remain calm and report any useful information to the nearest station as efforts intensify to rescue the victims and apprehend the abductors. Now, troops of the Nigerian Army's 6th Division have dismantled several illegal refining sites and arrested 50 suspected oil thieves during operations across the Niger Delta, especially in Rivers State. Between June 30th and July 13th, over 25,000 liters of stolen petroleum products were seized. In Rivers and Abia states, 7 illegal refining sites were destroyed, along with equipment including drum pots, receivers, and coolants. Troops also recovered thousands of liters of crude oil, argo, and kerosene. Similar operations in Delta, Bayelsa, and Akwa Ibom State led to more seizures, including boats carrying stolen products, drums of illegal refined fuel, and items suspected for pipeline sabotage. Several suspects were also arrested. The Army says it will continue to secure oil facilities and disrupt criminal activities across the region. A renewed call has been made to prioritize women's inclusion in politics and governance in recognition of their vital role in national development. This appeal came during the premiere of a documentary titled Double Minority held in Abuja. Trust TV's Kabir Lawan has the details.
With Nigeria's population estimated at over 203 million, women account for nearly 49.5%, which represent about 110 million people. Yet, only a small fraction of this demographic is represented in decision-making roles across the country. Dr. Kole Shetima, a director at the MacArthur Foundation, emphasized that women have both capacity and the time to actively engage in politics. He noted that their contribution to national growth should not be underestimated.
We at the MacArthur Foundation are very committed to the work that Kadria is doing and to our commitment towards gender equality and equity in our country. I think that all of us Nigerians, I'm sure, were all embarrassed by the data and the picture.
The author of the documentary and veteran journalist, Kadaria Ahmed, said the documentary highlights the low level of women's participation in politics. She identified cultural, structural, and financial barriers as key challenges. She noted that despite policies like the 2006 National Gender Policy, which advocate for increased female leadership, implementation remains weak.
For me, I get very confused when people don't seem to understand why women need to be equally represented. If you see democracy as, something that is for the people, by the people, as they say, and 50% of your population is not reflected in government or in elective offices, then it means you are disenfranchising 50% of your population. It means your democracy is not representative. So the same way you have, women, people with disability, young people, old people in society, is the same way you're supposed to have those people represented in government and in elective offices.
When women representation in Nigerian politics, in the political space, is diminishing, then we cannot really be hopeful about positive development. So this is really sobering, and I hope that it can get to the people in power, it can get to the people in political decision-making space.
Other dignitaries present at the premiere echoed the need for stronger advocacy. They called on government and influential individuals to support and empower women in politics, ensuring that they have equal opportunities to contribute to governance and national development. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, former Bayelsa State Governor and serving Senator Sarah K. Dixon has revealed that the mass defection of governors and political figures to the All Progressives Congress (APC) is largely motivated by fear of political persecution, desire for political survival, and law of federal power. Speaking to journalist, Dixon explained that some defections are not based on ideology or performance, but rather on the need to stay close to the center of power protect interests and avoid targeted political attacks. He added that the trend raises serious concern for Nigeria's democracy, warning that it erodes the foundation of party loyalty, weakens opposition politics, and discourages accountability in governance.
The laws are there. You see a DIG seated. It has been happening to me. Every opposition election is battle. They will kill people and nothing happens. That's why they are running to the ruling party. So they can give them police, army, security, and INEC fake results. Every election, they have been giving them, the leaders of the opposition, fake results to write. So they want to take advantage of that. It's not because of any policy they agree with. Forget this notion of, oh, we want to be connected, linked to the center. No, it's lie. If you are not part of a ruling party at the center, are you not part of Nigeria? Does it stop the federal government from doing things in your state? No, sir. Okay, the ones that are in the center, that are in the party controlled by, how many of the federal projects do they have?
Now, in tech, digital literacy is costing Nigeria an estimated $11 billion annually in lost growth opportunities, according to experts in the country's tech space. As the United Nations marks World Youth Skills Day on July 15th, Nigerian technology experts are expressing deep concern over the slow pace of sectoral development, largely due to poor internet connectivity and inadequate ICT infrastructure. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail has more in this report.
To bridge the growing digital literacy gap and empower young people, the United Nations General Assembly is commemorating the 2025 World Youth Skills Day under the theme Youth Empowerment Through Artificial Intelligence and Digital Skills. Amid rising unemployment and a widening digital divide, young Nigerians like Joseph Ijakpa are turning to artificial intelligence to acquire skills for self-reliance.
I use AI to create videos, animation, purely animation. I use it to create animation to advertise what I do. Of course, it helped to scale my business, to reach out to audience. You know, after creating those videos, you don't see my face, but you see some animation talking to you, telling you what I do, services that I render. And then I post it on my social media to gain view and also to gain other customers.
In this fast evolving world, digital skills are very important. Almost 90% of job vacancies require some sort of digital skills. And that is why some Nigerians are leveraging on the power of technology to also catch up. Digital marketing, web design, and social media advertising are redefining how people work and connect. A number of young Nigerians are leveraging these tools to become self-employed, while others are using the internet to link job seekers with potential employers.
When it comes to the issue of the internet, you know, the youths are the ones that are basically into this internet stuff, and majority of them are not employed. So through this our job, we try to reach out to them for them to know one of the ways or means for them to be engaged at the moment, at least for them not to enter into crime and all those things. So when we post most of our jobs, understand, we'll try to bring them closer, try to educate them and tell them about the jobs they are going for. Sometimes most of our training also post it on the internet.
As a young Nigerian, and I feel social media has given us a voice as a people. It has given us the opportunity not just to air our opinion, but also to, you know, shaping our life in diverse ways, such as this job opportunity. Through social media, you get to see job opportunities, and then through social media, you get to engage with even people far and near. In fact, you see opportunities outside Nigeria.
To address the skills gap, The federal government has announced plans to train public and private sector workers in artificial intelligence over the next 3 years. However, industry experts argue that without a solid technological infrastructure, such plans may fall short of their goals.
The frequent power failure and the unstable internet connection. I was doing something inside there. Within 10 minutes, the internet will just disconnect about 2 times. And sometimes it's very slow. Sometimes you may look at it, it's connected, but it will tell you no internet access.
We'll return after this short break. Do not go anywhere. Come back. And now in business. The Nigerian Naira strengthened to 4-month high on Monday, closing at 1,518 to the US dollar at the official foreign exchange market. This marks its strongest level since March 14th, 2025. According to data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, the Naira appreciated by 0.74%, supported by improved dollar liquidity and increased CBN interventions, including a recent $50 million sale and a successful Omo auction that attracted foreign investors. Market analysts forecast a stable trade range of 1,515 to 1,535 per dollar this week, citing growing confidence in ongoing foreign exchange reforms and steady oil exports revenues. Meanwhile, the Naira appreciated slightly at the parallel market, closing at 1,540 after a brief depreciation the previous week. Analysts said external pressures such as global risks sentiment and U.S. monetary policy had contributed to previous volatility, prompting the CBN to intervene with 4.72 billion in foreign exchange sales in the first half of 2025. And now away from Nigeria, security and defense forces in Togo, including paramilitary units and members of the operational reserve, participated in early voting on Monday, July 14th, ahead of the country's high-stakes municipal elections. The early vote held in the capital, Lome, was organized to enable officers to perform their civic duties while remaining on duty for Election Day security during the general poll scheduled for July 17th. The process was reported to be peaceful and orderly, with polling officials noting high discipline among voters. Monday's special vote officially launched a tense election period, with political parties intensifying campaigns to sway voters. The ruling UNIR party has urged citizens to support continuity, while opposition leaders are calling for active participation to push for change, despite some boycott calls from civil society. Tensions remain beneath the surface, with civil groups declaring July 14th and 15th as days of mourning and online activists planning protests on Election Day. Now, on a sad note, almost 300 people have been killed in a recent wave of violence in Sudan's North Kordofan state as clash escalates in the region. Reports indicate that the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces RSF launched coordinated attacks on villages surrounding the city of Bara, which is currently under RSF control. In one village, Shag Alnom, over 200 people were reportedly shot or burned to death in arson attacks. Further raids on nearby communities left at least 38 more civilians dead, while dozens remain unaccounted for. On Sunday, another village, Hilat Hamid, came under attack, resulting in 46 deaths, including women and children. North Kordofan has become a major frontline in Sudan's civil war, which began in April 2023 between RSF and the National Army. The conflict has triggered a severe humanitarian crisis with tens of thousands killed and over 13 million people displaced. Now in Israel, airstrike has continued across Gaza, including a refuge camp, a day after at least 78 Palestinians were reported killed in the territory. The Israeli military confirmed the deaths of 3 soldiers and injuries to another during fighting in Jabalia, located in northern Gaza. The occupied West Bank Israeli settlers launched new attacks on the Palestinians' village of Burqa, setting fire to farmlands and vehicles. The assaults came just hours after religious leaders and diplomats from over 20 countries gathered in nearby Taipei to call for an end to the violence. According to Gaza's health ministry, Israel's ongoing war on Gaza has so far killed at least 58,386 people and injured more than 139,000. The conflict began following the October 7, 2023 attacks in which 1,139 people were killed in Israel and over 200 others taken hostage. And now it's time for us to join Kabir Lawan for more news on sports.
The Black Queens of Ghana surged into knockout stages of the Women's African Cup of Nations WAFCON Morocco 2024. They achieved an emphatic 4-1 win over Tanzania on Monday evening. This was thanks to a dominant second-half display. Ghana started brightly and took the lead in the 12th minute. Priscilla Adubia fired home from the center of the box. This rewarded her side's early attacking intent. Tanzania, however, responded with resilience and found equalizer just before halftime. Stuma Amtamoni capitalized on West Play's header from Enike Lemimia to level score at 1-1 draw going into break. The second half belonged entirely to Black Queens. Ghana regained the lead in the 63rd minute after Princess Mafu was brought down inside the area. Alice Kusi stepped up and coolly converted from the penalty spot to restore Ghana's advantage. Meanwhile, the Super Falcons of Nigeria will be locking horns with the Zambia counterpart on Sunday at 6 p.m. Nigerian time. Still on sport, the heavyweight title unification rematch between Alexander Usyk and Daniel Dubois is a little more than a week away. The Usyk vs Dubois 2-fight card is set for July 19th at Wembley Stadium in London, England. Usyk puts his WBA, WBC and WBO heavyweight titles up for grabs in that matchup. As for Dubois, he will enter the boxing match with the IBF title around his waist. The winner walked away as undisputed heavyweight champion, a title Usyk held once before. Usyk 23-0 with 14 knockouts and Dubois 22-2 with 21 KOs. First faced off August 2023, Usyk won that matchup via knockout in the 9th round, but there was more controversy with that victory. A body shot from Dubois put Usyk on the deck in the 5th round, but the punch was ruled a low blow. Usyk came back to finish the fight. Since the matchup, Usyk has gone 2-0, beating Tyson Fury in both outings, picking up a split decision in May 2024 and unanimous decision in December 2024. Usyk became the undisputed heavyweight champion with his first win over Fury, but he was forced to give up the IBF title before the rematch. Dubois is 3-0 since his loss to Usyk with knockout wins over Jarrell Miller, Flick Gojic, and mostly recently Anthony Joshua. Dubois claimed the vacant IBF title with his June 2024 win over Jovic. He defended the title in September 2024, stopping Joshua in the 5th round. That's Sport News. I am Kabir Lawan.
And with that, we have come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to join us and watch us across all our social media platforms for more news, programs, and documentaries. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa. From me and the crew, to have a good evening.